Yeah. Oh, hi, Lizette.
So, I've got good news.
Look, you cannot tell me that the bad news this week is that the Rams are in first place by themselves after last Sunday, okay?
I know, that was the good news.
Oh, well, what's the bad news?
Well, it's a bye week, and you know what that means.
There's no Seahawk football this week?
And now, it's time for another episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. A show made by 12s from around the world, for 12s around the world. I'm Mozette, and here is your host and my dad, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Mozette. And welcome to episode 514 of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show as your Seattle Seahawks get ready to take on the bye week. Because there is no rest for the wicked. Let's meet the posse for this episode. First, the yin to my yang. And he is always going bye-bye whenever he can. It's Matt from Merry Old Dingle. Hi, Matt.
Good morning, Moses. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Matt. How are you?
Well, I'm on a lot of drugs. I've got painkillers and antibiotics, and I'm officially what we term over here, off my tits.
So a pretty typical day.
Off your tits.
I have got lots of chemicals running through my body right now, and it's just amazing.
Matt is
Sounds pretty cool.
Wow, yeah. Off your tits. That's
off
amazing.
My tits. It's a new phrase.
Well,
use it a lot.
Someone who is never off his tits, and that is our news hound, and that is...
You noticed.
That's Will. Hi, Will.
Hi, Moses. How are you?
I'm fine. You're not off your tits, are you?
No, Matt's got me beat. I'm only on some over-the-counter cold meds, so you win, Matt.
I never thought I could have mixed some. I could have mixed some a day nursing with that as well. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Kids, drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
And someone who knows nothing about being off his tits, and that is Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Whatever, I'm sitting on my ass, which by definition makes me off my tits. So.
Oh my
True.
God. But I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. That was almost didn't happen. I was almost a healthy scratch for the show. So
it was a healthy scratch, but we got you back. And someone else that's back again hopefully for a little while. Behind enemy lines just down the street for 49er headquarters is Statsman Mark.
Hey,
Mark,
everybody.
how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, and I'm just examining my own man cans, and I'm free of any lumps. And
Yay!
breasticles.
No lumps, everybody.
I actually got complimented on them the other night on webcam. Anyway, meanwhile, it's all kissing cousins in the Bay Area because the 49ers are going into Washington to play a QB who they might pay $27 million to next year. So there's a lot of soap opera and drama for this weekend.
And not only that, but guys, it's the bye week. You knew it was coming. Little NSYNC for you. Every time it's the bye week, baby. That's right, it's the bye week.
Yeah. Is that bye with an I?
No! BYE.
We were all waiting for that. I just went ahead and...
You threw it out there.
Well, it was a fastball right there.
It was there. And now we're going to throw another one out to Michael Bolton. Michael Bolton!
Boys, let's get to it.
Yes, let's get to it. This show is broken into 4 quarters and a halftime in quarter 1. We have Will with the news. Quarter 2, we're going to recap that Seahawk win over the Rams 16-10 and look at our predictions going into the bye week. At halftime, it's the best Seahawk themed play-along game on the internet. 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia. Of the world. Dustin, the defending champ.
Yep.
See if he can keep that going through the bye week. Quarter 3, it's usually where we get ready for the game, but there is no game this week, so we're going to talk about the state of the Seahawks up to the bye week, offensively, defensively, so, just kind of talk about where we think they are. In quarter 4, we have a taped interview with Jose. Jose, a friend of the show, a listener and a participant at our Facebook page, and he had quite an interesting 2 weeks with the Colts and the Rams. He saw both those games, and he also got to go to VMAC and meet some of the players, so you'll see some pictures and hear him talk a little bit about that. Before we start, we'd like to remind you to like, share, subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, join our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show, also on Twitter, and that's our email, 12manfanjamshow@gmail.com. All right, let's get to the first quarter and news. Yes, it's the 12-Man Fan Jam News Report with news of the NFL world worth mentioning. Brought to you this week by our sponsor, the Los Angeles Easy Turnover Oven. Will, what you got for us?
Well, Moses, people who watched the Eagles-Panthers game Thursday night probably noticed there was a little bit of a disparity in the number of penalties called.
Just a bit.
Philadelphia was flagged 10 times for 126 yards, whereas the Panthers were penalized once for 1 whole yard. Now,
Outrage.
Sound familiar?
You would think that this would be an outlier, but apparently the Eagles have trouble with games that are refereed by Pete Morelli's crew, who did Thursday night's game. In the last 4 games featuring Morelli's crew, the Eagles have been penalized 40 times, and their opponents have only been penalized 8 times.
Oh my God!
My goodness.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Eagles coach Doug Peterson has brought all that to the attention of the league, but you know what? Seattle may not be the one getting the most screwed by the refs this year if this is all the case.
My God!
I'm
Wow.
glad you brought that up. That does sound like an honest bias. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it does.
But
Morelli
I wonder
sounds
I wonder what the excuse will be from the league, though. I mean, they'll have to look back at the plays and stuff, probably, but it's going to have to be pretty clear cut if there's some sort of, bias going on.
You know, so often the problem with these isn't so much the flags that are thrown; it's the ones that aren't thrown.
Yeah.
They're called. It's like when we played the Saints last year, and Jermaine Kearse was getting busted for OPI every time he ran a route, whereas the Saints receivers were doing the same thing and they weren't getting flagged.
Yes.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you can make the case that Kearse screwed up, but these guys are doing the same thing. Why aren't they getting flagged?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's too bad. That is, I had seen that was a big discrepancy this game, but the 40-8 is quite an interesting.
It's a damning
situation.
statistic.
Yeah. Well, I figured a name like Morelli, he must have a deal with New York somewhere, but forget about it. We'll make sure Philadelphia stays out of your way. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Well, New York can use all the help it can get. So.
Oh,
That's for
yes.
damn sure.
Yes, they can. Especially this week, because with the bye week, I have no Russell Wilson, so I have to use Eli Manning, which.
Oh no!
Yay.
Oh,
What
Yay.
a shit fest that was last week.
Yeah,
My
They lost.
goodness.
Yeah, they lost Marshall and Beckham.
They lost 4 of them. They're gonna have
and
to start Seneca Wallace at receiver.
Nice.
Well, today they announced that 5 of their starters that were expected to start this week are not even going to play.
Yeah.
That's in addition to the guys that are out for the season.
And they're 0-5, so.
So isn't this the point really where you just say, look, we're just going to put our our 5th string is out by now by the time they've lost everyone else.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to go completely Norton 15, the full out.
We're
We're
just gonna
going to suck now and get the first draft pick in the draft.
Yeah, what I think they ought to do before the next game is I think Manning needs to go out and throw catch with some of the fans and see who has some hands. And say, hey, that guy in the 83 jersey, bring him in. We'll
find out, man.
Have
If you get
some
a phone
open-
call from New York this week, you need to answer your phone.
Yeah.
That was
Have some
That
open
was the
tryouts.
most
See if
depressing
Vince
thing.
Papali can still play.
Yeah.
that was the most depressing thing last
Maybe
week when we
Plaxico Burress can still play. That'd be
Yeah.
entertaining.
He's got a shot.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice. Willie.
He's got a shot. Oh, nice one, Will. We'll have to keep our eye on that, see how the NFL explains that one. But what else you got?
Well, Moses, Roger Goodell doesn't have very many defenders, and unfortunately for him, one of them has recently been outed.
his boyfriend.
You're close. Apparently, somebody at the Wall Street Journal noticed that there was an account on Twitter @4argument that had been sparring rather frequently with sports media accounts. Let's see. Andrew Beaton of the Wall Street Journal wrote the other day that, quote, on September 26th, Pro Football Talk's Twitter account tweeted that, quote, it was on the commissioner to solve the anthem issues. In response, @4argument tweeted, quote, please do better reporting. He's already doing this. You are behind.
Wow.
Well, it turns out that @4argument has a reason for sticking up for Roger Goodell. It's his wife, Jane Skinner.
Oh my goodness.
During a written statement, she admitted to maintaining the account, saying, quote, "It was a really silly thing to do and done out of frustration and love." So, but for anyone on Twitter who is wanting to follow at For Argument, that account has been deleted.
Aw.
But watch for any new accounts popping up that might be defending Roger Goodell, because she may be at it again.
I think she got that idea from Kurt Warner's wife, right?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
From Brady's.
Yeah. So that but she did admit it, and she never said she wasn't his wife. So there's that, right?
She didn't say anything bad, did she?
Yeah.
She just said, "Look, he's dealing with it. Shut up."
Yeah.
I'm sure there was more than one tweet.
Leave my husband alone. Wait, I didn't tweet that.
Yeah.
Leave Roger alone.
I tell you what, the best one I saw about a girl defending her sports related husband was Kate Upton.
Okay.
She is.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the fiance of Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
And he didn't win the Cy Young one year. And after the votes came out, she tweeted to like all the people that voted, "I thought I was the only one that got to fuck Verlander."
Oh!
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I kind of like John Ryan's wife tweeting during the game, the punter's wife. She is a comedian. She's paid to be a professional comedian. She's very, very funny, and her tweets are always really funny. I enjoy her tweeting, but they're always, kind of tongue-in-cheek and kind of done with a laughter idea.
Boy.
But that one where she said, I hate seeing my husband this much.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah. She's kind of my favorite now. But, I don't blame... I'm kind of torn here because, like you said, she didn't say anything nasty.
Well,
she's defending her husband, and she
why
admitted
shouldn't she?
it.
Why shouldn't she be able to speak? Why should she not have an account just because she happens to be the wife? Although I would give it even more props if she was like commish wife,
Yeah.
Or,
that's the thing. I mean, if she was on Twitter as at Mrs. Roger Goodell or something like that, that'd be one being open about being Roger
And people would
Goodell's
say,
wife,
well, no
instead
wonder
of
she's
some random
defending
person.
him. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would almost be worse because then what she says, he's going to be held accountable for regardless. If you're going to be on social media and you're somebody famous like that or married to somebody famous, you're almost better off being incognito talking to people. But she just happened to get caught. I mean, that's unlucky for her.
She followed 4 accounts apparently that were connected to her daughter's high school, and that's how people got suspicious. So.
So she's smart too. Okay.
Well, she married Roger.
I'm gonna say she married Roger Goodell.
It'd be great if Roger issues a statement that I was not complicit in my wife's anonymous account. Like he comes up with some lawyer speak on the whole situation.
And I did not her for 4 games.
Yeah.
There you go.
I did not have Twitter relations with that woman.
Nice.
My wife.
Oh, man. Well, I can't blame her. Bless her. She's defending her husband. Well, thank you, Will, so much.
Anytime, Moses.
And that is the end of the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
All right, coming up on this episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, lots of show left. What do we think of the Seahawks so far? But coming up next, we review last week's victory against the Rams. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
This is Dustin. Thanks for listening.
Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call her.
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Yes, welcome to the second quarter of episode 514 of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Okay, gentlemen, let's take a look back one more time at last week's game as the Seahawks defeat the Rams in Los Angeles 16-10. A big road victory in the division against what looks like might be our biggest competition in the division. However, here's what I want to ask you to start this. I always say I'm a firm believer in that teams don't lose games, that teams win games. We didn't lose Super Bowl 49. Okay, the Patriots won it. And that teams don't lose games because even if teams do things to lose games, the other team still has to make a play, okay? That's the way I look at it. For example, that, and I think people that watch the Rams-Seahawks game could argue that the Rams lost it more than the Seahawks won it. There were 5 turnovers. They made a lot of errors at crucial times, it seemed to be. So what I want to ask you all, and I'll go round table this to kind of start it. And I'll start with Statsman Mark. If you put a percentage on this, what's the percentage that the Seahawks won this game as opposed to the Rams losing this game?
Oh, interesting. Based on what I saw, and again, I didn't get to watch this thing live. I was, I had my condensed highlights, which is different. But given our recent history, and given how difficult it's been for us to beat this team, and given how I had no idea the ending of the game and how close, how we almost lost it, but they held on. So to me, I mean, I would say at a minimum, it's kind of 60-40, I think, in our favor.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
pretty good.
I mean, it's kind of a very generic kind of
that's pretty
breakdown.
Good. Will, we have lost games in St. Louis with this Rams team. I remember being at one where the kicker kicked like 4 50-yard field goals and a fake punt, and we were driving, and our tight end falls down, and that's an interception that ends the game, and he would have been open, and we were driving down for the game winner. So we have had those share of maybe losing the game or at least helping the other team win. What do you think the percentage was from Sunday of the Seahawks winning this game?
Well, I'd have to say the solid majority is the Seahawks won it more than the Rams lost it. I mean, if Goff and Kupp could have connected on that last pass, then would the Rams have won? Yeah, probably. But leading up to that, you got Sheldon Richardson getting the pick on a drive that probably would have resulted in 3 points for the Rams earlier. You have Goff throwing another pick when Jaron Reed pushes a offensive lineman back into his. He throws a bad pass and Earl Thomas gets the pick. We get a turnover when Frank Clark beats Andrew Whitworth, who is arguably the best free agent signing this year at left tackle, gets the strip sack, and Richardson recovers. Seahawks made a lot of plays to win this game, and yeah, they didn't win it going away, but I would put it squarely on Seattle winning it rather than the Rams losing it.
Yeah, I can see that. Matt, what's your thoughts?
I agree with Will. I mean, I would also say that the turnovers that occurred, they were forced. We had to make a play to make some of those happen.
Right.
They didn't just happen because the Rams just exploded and fell apart. It happened because our defense was putting pressure in at the right time. I think it's interesting. If you ask me from the first quarter, that first, I have to say, when I first saw that opening drive, I thought, my goodness, there's going to be another one of those sorts of games. So you sort of, from the start of the game, I think, the Rams were definitely control, but then tables turn. But I think by as Will says, by the end of it, we had made the plays. I think we were definitely in control. So I don't know, what, 70-30, something like that.
Yeah, Dustin, what's your thought?
I have similar but different take. I think the Seahawks helped to win this game last year, to be honest with you, because I think they were in Goff's head from last year. Because he just, when he was out there, his decision making was pretty poor Sunday. All day when the places he's throwing the ball, I'm like, man, he's not looking like a quarterback that's been leading the team the way he has been. And I kept telling my kids and stuff, I'm like, dude, he's throwing into some bad spots. We're gonna get turnovers. And he kind of proved that right. He was off with his throws, and I think that's partially because having to deal with the Seahawks last year, he knew he was getting into. I think he felt rushed with what he had to do, and it ended up showing up on the stat board. I mean, a couple of the turnovers not forced. I mean, Tavon Austin bobbling the ball, that's on him.
Oh yeah.
And the one to Gurley, that's on Goff. Where Richardson intercepted it, that's definitely on Goff, and I think that's because of, again, what happened on Sunday, but also how he felt from playing this team previously, the one time that he played him. Because that throw was terrible, and that's what caused the interception, because Gurley had to jump up and he just lobbed it back to Richardson. And there's plays like that all over the place where he was just gone. So I'd say it's probably 70-30 Seahawks won it, and I don't think it was just the plays they made last Sunday that helped them win the game.
Well, and I'm like I said at the beginning, I wholeheartedly believe that teams win games. And my argument real quick, and I don't want to dig up this old memory and scrape this old wound, but Super Bowl 49, to me, the story wasn't one play. The story was the fact we had a 10-point lead going to fourth quarter, and Tom Brady drove twice on the number one defense in the NFL, and they had the lead because of that. And to me, that's what made that play at the end so crucial. But if our defense had done their job, then maybe we would have been up by 10 still at the end of 4 quarters instead at the end of 3 quarters. So to me, the story of 49 has always been that, not the one play that blew it because we handed them the Super Bowl, which we didn't. They had to make that play too, and they did. And then we had a defense out there at the 1-yard line. We could have made a play there. We couldn't do it. We had a penalty, and that kind of blew that. So I wholeheartedly agree with all of you. I'm more 90-10. I mean, I think the Rams made mistakes, but you still have to capitalize on those. How many times have we seen fumbles not get in the Seahawks' hands because they just couldn't make the play?
And, as well, you've got to remember, they only scored in the second quarter. The Rams only managed to get any points in the second quarter.
Exactly.
So, and they were in they were in the red zone, 5 times? 6 times?
Yeah. And they're the number 1 ranked offense going into the game, right? They scored 40 points twice. I know they were, and they looked every bit like a better team, which kind of leads me to the next thing, Matt, and I'll start with you. Is this our new rivalry now?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose actually yes, but mentally, morally, no, it's always going to be the one, isn't it? I mean, but I think no. I think in terms of this league right now and the way it's looking, yeah, of course, because they are the better team in the West.
Will, do you think they're going to fade? Do you think the Rams are going to fade, or do you think this is going to come to that next home game we have with them is going to be a big one as well?
It's going to be a big one. I mean, it's not going to get anywhere near the heights of Hawks 49ers a few years back when Harbaugh was coaching them, because I don't think anything is going to top that, to be honest.
No.
But yeah, the Cardinals look like they're disintegrating.
Yes.
The 49ers, they're making some decent choices, but they're still a couple years away from being a legitimate contender for the division title. So yeah, the Rams have talent on both sides of the ball, and Goff. Yeah, we got in his head a little bit, and he made some mistakes, but he still looks a lot better than he did last year. So, yeah, I think the Rams are going to be a team we're going to have to watch out for, which is what makes this win, so huge. We had to have it.
Yes, absolutely. Statsman Mark, your thoughts on the rivalry between the Rams and the Seahawks?
Well, it's just nice that there's a chance there will be a rivalry, because it's just been, for years, 6-7 years, whatever it is, watch out for the Rams. It's like, whatever, and then, you get rid of, Mullet Boy, and now, they got a coach and there's a new attitude, and I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad that they're improving, because that forces everyone else to kind of keep up, at least there's some urgency there.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good point.
But the 49ers too, when they get a quarterback, are going to be a lot more interesting. They played well. The feeling with them locally, even on the radio, is even though they're losing and they're 0-5, it's not the morbid Jim Tom Sula, Chip Kelly kind of win this season. They know that they're heading in a good direction, and I think they're executing. I mean, every team wants to win a game, but really they're just focusing on other stuff too. And it's the best of both worlds, because the fan base is still there. And then, you go ahead and suck this year, win a couple games, and then get a QB. If I'm them, I do not pay Cousins all that money, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Dustin, your thoughts on the rivalry?
Yeah, I think that's the next one. It's up and coming. I don't know that it's necessarily there yet, but I like their coach, which is a part of why it won't be like 49ers. But they got a good young coach. They got young talent on offense and defense, and they're the next ones coming up to challenge the big brother. So
yeah,
Arizona had a shot at it, and they just couldn't get out of their own way. And then 49ers. When Harbaugh left, the team it went downhill. So it's got to be the Rams.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're going to fade.
And it's so good as well to have that sort of competition, because it keeps us on our toes. It means we're not complacent. You can't just sit there and pretend you're the best because everyone else around you is rubbish. You actually have to put in the effort, get the talent in, and do the work, do the drills. So I think it's only motivational for us.
They always say that about their practice, is that iron sharpens iron. So if the Rams are going to be their new iron, there you go.
Yeah. And I think this is just more evidence that Jeff Fisher has long been overrated as a head coach.
Yes.
Well, he's always good with one trick play per game that would screw us up.
Well, I always said he was good. I think he's good if you're 3-13 and you need to get to 8-8. I think he'll get you to 8-8 or 7-9, but he's not going to get you to 13-3. Like, he'll take you up to the next level, but then you need to get someone else to go from there, I think.
And he'll get you a decent season of Hard Knocks too, which was cool. So there is that.
And that Amazon series, All or Nothing.
Yeah.
I actually watched that, and just all the behind the scenes stuff. It was just so cheesy and so hokey. I'm like, yeah, no wonder you guys suck. This is horrible.
Well, one thing that's not terrible and is never hokey, and that is our caption that picture. All right, as we always do, we take a picture from last week's game, and this is, Thomas Rawls is in the air, and Jimmy Graham has just scored, I think. It's after Jimmy Graham scored a touchdown.
I hope so.
Which wasn't that nice to see, but anyway.
Yes.
Be that as it may, Will, caption that picture.
Okay, Thomas Rawls speaking. I've been starting you on my fantasy team all year, and it finally paid off.
Him and about 5 million other people, including me. No. Hey, Matt. Caption that picture.
Mine sort of not either of them saying, but it would be, so it wasn't just me that felt uplifted watching Jimmy Graham get a touchdown.
Nice. Dustin, caption that picture.
This is Azrael's. I'm just excited to be here.
Mark, you got one?
I do.
Mark, caption that picture.
And this will be Rawls. It's like, damn, Jimmy, my ankle. I don't know why it's so sore. I keep hopping and it's still sore. I can't stop.
All right, I got two. First one is, these are both Rawls talking. Way to go, Jimmy. Hey, who let the Panther mascot out on the field? I see Cat P.
Okay.
Or, this is my personal favorite. Way to go, Graham. A spider! A spider! I see a spider!
Wow.
It's like Cam Newton trying to recover that fumble in Super Bowl 50.
No.
Spider!
Oh! All right, let's kick into our 2-minute warning.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
All right, our 2-minute warning. Let's take a look at our predictions, prognostication, and game balls from last week's victory over the Rams. First, the scoring. I gave it to myself for 27-16. Point to me. Prognostications, 2 points to Will. Seattle did have more sacks than LA. And Mark Ty Turner, 3 tackles for a loss. We'll talk about that. I think that was kind of an easy 2 points there, but we'll give it to him. Game ball, I gave it to Thomas, which is Mike Pascal. He got Defensive Player of the Week as well. Congratulations, Earl Thomas. Unbelievable guy. Over-under, it was the under. A point to Jose, Mark Ty Turner, Mike, Mark, Will, Matt, and Moses. Individual scores for this week. Mark Ty Turner with 3, Will with 3, Mike with 2, Moses with 2. Statsman Mark, Jose, and Matt all had a point. So that means after 5 games, Mike Pascal is our leader at 15. Dustin close behind at 13. Me in 3rd place with 12. Jose, last year's champion at 10. Matt at 9. Tom at 8, Will at 7, Mark Ty Turner at 6. It's very, very close. Statsman Mark at 4, Little Mo at 2. Gentlemen, after 5 games, Team 12, 41. Team Posse, 45! We're up by 4 points!
Bam! In your face!
We are still the guys!
Suck it!
Let's quit while we're ahead. Quick!
Even though it's the bye week. It's the bye week and we're still champs, baby! Bye-bye, baby. All right. And bye-bye to the second quarter.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
Coming up, so much more show. Are the Seahawks back on track? Is there still a lot of work to be done? Will NSYNC ever reunite? All these answers and so much more around the corner. But first, another edition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia coming up next.
Hi, I'm Rosette, and you're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. And here's your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Ian. Welcome to another edition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia
of the world.
The trivia game that tests the knowledge of both our posse and our listeners. Our contestants are the posse themselves, Will, Matt, Mark, and Dustin, and here are the rules.
So here's how the trivia game works. There'll be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there'll be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tie players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12-man Fan Jam Show Trivia Champion and also gets a prize chosen especially for them. As an added bonus to those listening on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well. If you do, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline. Before taping this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take the quiz as well. If the contestants want to know what the kids said, they can ask that but once and only once during the entire game show and only in the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia.
All right, gentlemen, you know the rules. No Googling, no wagering, and no phoning a friend. It is the bye week, so it is kind of a potluck here thing going. Dustin, 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Well, if it's a potluck, we bring our own questions, right?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, 4.
4. Matt?
3, please.
Mark?
Number 2.
And that will leave Will with
I'm
number
1. I'm number 1.
They are kind of divided. The first 4 questions are about the first 3 games, kind of, and then the second round is about the last 2 games.
Uh-oh.
Wonderful.
Kind of. So, for example, Will,
Yes, sir.
we played the Packers, and the Packers
I
reside in
remember.
Wisconsin.
I was there.
Yeah. The Packers, did you go to Mercer, Wisconsin by chance?
I'm afraid I missed that one.
Okay, well, you're about to tell us Mercer, Wisconsin is known as the capital of the world for what? Loons, milk, or Swiss cheese? Dance! Mercer, Wisconsin, the capital of the world for loons, milk, or Swiss cheese?
Dustin, what is Mercer, Wisconsin, the capital of?
Yes, capital of the world for?
What are the options again? I wasn't listening.
Loons?
No, I was just...
milk,
I
or
wanted
Swiss
you to
cheese?
do of the world, so never mind.
Oh, of the
sorry.
world!
Oh, God.
do it
It's too
again.
late
Take
now.
two,
It's
take
completely
two.
too late for
Are you ready,
this.
Dustin? Mercer, Wisconsin is known as the capital
Of the world!
for what? Loons, milk, or Swiss cheese?
Okay.
Did you say balloons?
I thought he was phoning a friend, in all honesty. I had no idea what was happening.
Sorry. Well, that's
No
what you get
worries.
for not paying attention.
I know.
I don't know. Milk and Swiss cheese seem like too obvious, so I'm going to go with loons.
Loons aren't obvious?
I don't know
Not
what a loon is.
No.
I
Okay.
thought you said balloon.
What is a loon?
Loon.
No, loon. Bird.
Loon, bird, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Loon, come on, people. Mosette
Sorry.
said milk. Little Mo said Swiss cheese. You said loon, capital of the world. Yeah! Loon, capital of the world. Mercer was-
Woohoo!
Who knew?
Who knew?
Will did. He's got a point.
I thought it was like some freaking Looney Tune shit.
No,
That's what I
loons
thought a
are
loon
birds.
was.
They're like duck-looking things, aren't they? Some I don't know. Look it
I
up on
don't
your own
know.
time.
They're birds. That's all I know.
Yeah, Mark. Mark, we played in Tennessee this last couple games. Tennessee, the state of Tennessee has over 3,800 what? Caves, lakes, or rivers? Tennessee,
Whoa.
over 3,800 what? Caves, lakes, or rivers?
Okay. Let's see. Caves, lakes, or rivers. Oh my. Let's. You know what? We're gonna go caves.
We're gonna go
Tennessee people.
caves.
They're hidden in caves. Protests are planned in caves. I'm gonna say caves.
Hey, you know this isn't a millionaire show. You don't have to rationale. You need to say your answer.
Gotta talk it out.
So you're working.
My aunt worked in a cave, so no. Okay, you said caves. Mosette said caves. Little Mo said lakes. You said caves. Yes, caves. 1-1
Wow.
to 0-0. Well, I
This
haven't
is
played yet.
intense.
So when the mole
that-
people invade, they're going to come out of Tennessee.
Yes,
Yes.
my nipples weep for you. Okay,
What kind of mole people?
What?
the mole people. That's an awesome movie. Okay, Matt.
Yes.
Yours is actually a football question.
Hooray! Oh, crap.
Matt, who had the most receiving yards for the Seahawks when they played the 49ers this season? Was it Doug
Oh.
Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, or Luke Wilson? Who had the most receiving yards for the
Ooh.
Seahawks when they played the 49ers? Baldwin, Lockett, or Wilson?
Honestly, I'm on so many drugs I can't even remember. I'll ask the kids. What do the kids reckon?
Oh, okay. Mosette said Doug Baldwin, and Little Mo said Luke Wilson. Nobody said Lockett.
No one said Lockett. No, I don't blame him. I'll go with Wilson. Why not?
You go with Wilson, which is weird because Little Mo's favorite player is Lockett. You're going with Luke? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Nah, it was Tyler Lockett.
The
Nobody got
Lockett.
that one.
Yeah.
It was Lockett. All right, Dustin. You
Yeah.
get a football question as well.
Sweet.
No Googling.
Oh,
Okay.
well, never mind then.
In Week 1 in Green Bay, who had the most receiving yardage for the Seahawks in that game? Was it Baldwin, Richardson, or Graham? Baldwin, Richardson, or Graham? Who had the most receiving yards in Green Bay?
I'm always going to say Baldwin.
You're always going to say Baldwin?
Pretty much for receiving yards currently, sure.
Always.
Well, not
Yeah.
Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
not Graham.
Richardson.
I don't know.
Not in that game.
Honestly.
I don't remember. So I'm
But you're going with Baldwin.
no, I'm phoning friends and they're saying no, Dustin. That's a stupid decision. So I'm gonna go with Jimmy Graham because somebody said not Graham.
These are just voices in your head, Dustin. We're not saying anything.
Now, okay.
What I said was Jimmy Graham, actually. I think. So,
Are you really going with Jimmy Graham? Is this your final answer?
yeah, it is. I have no idea.
Okay. Well, Mosette said Doug Baldwin. Little Mo said Paul Richardson. You said Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham had 8 yards. Would you like to know?
Oh, come on! Is it really Doug Baldwin?
It's Doug Baldwin with 6.
You dicks!
What?
Voices in the head works.
Richardson, Baldwin had 63. Richardson had 59, so it was very close. But
Oh man.
yeah, Graham
Let me
had
try.
8.
Let me try something else. Dennis, Dustin, send me your credit card and your PIN.
There was no way that was planned, though. You guys both had the same reaction, like the same time. Like, really? That's who you're going with?
Well, yeah, because we were like, well, it couldn't be Graham. He only had 8 yards.
I was going to say, well, you weren't getting my British sarcasm when I said Graham.
Oh goodness.
Lessons learned. This is why we don't phone a friend. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is
that's-
why you don't trust us, anyway.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
listen to us.
Round 2 is the
Matt,
same
send the
thing.
kids next time.
Round two is going to be about Indianapolis and Los Angeles. We'll start with Will 5, 6, 7, 8.
5.
Okay, and we will go with Mark 6, 7, 8.
8.
And we'll go with Dustin 6, 7.
I'll try something new. I'll go 6.
And then that will leave Matt with number
Ta-da.
7. All right, here we go. Second round. Question 5, Will, and this is a football question. It's about the Colts game. Against the Colts, how many times did John Ryan punt for the Seahawks? 0, 1, or 2? How many times did John Ryan punt for the Seahawks against the Colts? 0, 1, or 2? Do you remember?
Okay. I'm going to say 2.
He's going to say 2. Little Mo said 2. Mosette said 0.
Probably if he did it twice, probably both in the first half too.
No, just one time. One punt.
Okay.
Yeah, not bad. One punt.
What a
Dustin-
punt.
Sarah
was.
Colonna must have been happy.
Yes, she must have been happy. Yes, bless her heart. We'll have to get her on the show sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll do that for free. Hey, Dustin,
Yeah.
this is about Indiana.
Oh gosh.
Indiana has Ball State University, where David Letterman went to college, and the
Ball
artist
State.
John Davis of Garfield fame. But anyway, okay. But Ball State University was founded by a grant from the Ball Corporation. That's the name of the corporation. Okay, that's why it's Ball State. What does the Ball Corporation make? Do they make corn fertilizer?
Anal
do they make
beads.
glass jars? Or do they make tractor parts? What does the Ball Corporation make? corn fertilizer, glass jars, or tractor parts?
Well, that's a great psychological test.
I don't know. I'll tractor parts. Why
We'll go
not?
tractor parts.
Yeah.
Mosette said tractor parts. Little Mo said glass jars. They actually make glass
Oil
jars
beads.
for canning.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, they
But
really
you
do.
can store beads in them, so.
So, Will knows these things.
Hey now.
All right,
I'm a rock star.
Matt.
Yes.
You have a football question.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we seem to be
trade-
missing all the football
Jimmy Graham.
questions.
Yeah. No. I wish that was an answer. How many first downs did the Seahawks have against the Rams last week? 15, 16, or 17? How many first downs did the Seahawks have against the Rams? 15, 16, 17.
16.
He says 16. Mosette said 15. Lil Mo said 16. You said 16. 15. 15. I don't know for this round. Okay, Mark.
Oh, I tell you, I'm having the right. That's the drugs. This is why you're not allowed to play football. This is why they test you before you do these sorts of things. I should have had a test before I took this.
Never take trivia on drugs.
I'm peeing in a cup as we speak. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, you don't have to send me.
For testing.
Matt wants to send me his pee. Thank you.
For testing. It's completely legit, dude.
Yeah, right.
If you
You're like
receive
the
it, you failed
commissioner of the
test.
show.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
And
All
now
right.
his
It's-
wife's going to start tweeting his defense.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mark.
Moses is going to
It's-
start
it-
sending out the piss man.
Dennis, it's okay. You're in good health.
Mark, this is right up your alley. Okay, because this is a question about your state, California. So let's see what you know about your state. Okay.
That was
All
like
right.
webcam shit.
So put the coins down. Okay. More of what animal is raised in California than any other state? Doves, pigs, or turkeys? More of what animal is raised in California than in any other state? Doves, pigs, or turkeys?
Hollywood executives.
Which would be
So
pigs.
jackasses.
No.
Lawyers.
Yeah, I know the Weinsteins might be extinct. That's bad bird. Let's see. Doves, pigs, or turkeys?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Let's see.
More of this animal is raised in California than any other state.
All right. You
I
know
know
what?
you just said that.
When doves cry, pigs come to mind, and I'm gonna say pigs.
You're
How
going to
could
say
you just
filthy.
leave me standing?
This will get well, you filthy pigs. All right. Little Mo said doves. Mosette said turkeys. You said pigs.
Yeah, pigs lead the
No,
headlines.
They
Uh-oh.
raise more turkeys in California
Oh.
than in any other state. Do not ask me why.
I've
Surprisingly,
seen,
I knew that one.
I've seen
Uh,
wild turkeys hanging out in a parking lot in San Ramon, California, a few years ago.
I actually see wild turkeys hanging out at the liquor store. They're in bottles.
Yeah, I was
Right.
not used to the ambulatory variety either. But
But-
Lord have mercy.
You know,
All
when,
right.
when I hear turkey, I was thinking political turkeys. So anyway.
All right, it is. You know what time it is, guys.
It's 3 a.m.
Hump day.
It's time for the final question.
Sure.
All right. Final question.
I love that. That's
is
new to
a-
me, guys.
well, you need to show
Final
up more often.
question
Yeah.
is a number, obviously high-low. The closest to it without going over gets 2 points and will win trivia on this episode because there will be no overtime apparently. The order, if everybody's over, whoever's the closest will get the 2 points. The order is going to be Dustin, Matt, Will, and Mark. And here is your question, your final question. And we start with Dustin. And the question, Dustin, is... How many times has John Ryan punted this entire season so far? Number of times John Ryan has punted for the Seahawks through 5 games.
5 games. I'll say 27.
He'll say 27.
Yeah,
Matt?
I did. I just did.
You just did.
Me? Oh, 26.
Yeah. 26. 26. Will.
I will Sure. Blackjack, 21.
Mark?
Oh boy, I'm going to say 24.
400.
24.
I thought for
27,
sure somebody say
26,
28.
21, and 24. Well, nobody hit it exactly. But the amount, those are all really good guesses. The amount of times John Ryan has punted this season for the Seahawks is 28. Dustin!
Jeez.
Up by one. But he grabs the title and hangs on to it for another week. Congratulations, Dustin.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow. Those are all good guesses, guys. By the way, the overtime would have been how many times has the opposition punted against the Seahawks? They punted 27 times. We punted 28 times.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I did math there, guys.
Knowledge.
Did math.
Dustin,
did.
congratulations.
Oh, because it wasn't a decimal question.
Yeah.
Back to back, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. And this has been another crowd-pleasing, heart-stopping, award-winning edition of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia
of the world.
We'll be back with the second half of the show right after this. Elo, take us out.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Holy shit, it's the third quarter.
Yes, welcome to the third quarter of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Hey, you! Yes, you sending videos of yourself snorting cocaine before you had to practice. Like, share, and subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Do it now before she shares that video and you lose your job.
I wish you were here.
Shout out to
that's
the Dolphins,
so sweet.
Right?
Yeah.
I wish you were here, baby.
And they
Here,
say
I'll do this
romance
for
is
you,
dead.
though. Oh man, what a loser. Okay, before we talk about the state of the Seahawks, since there will be no football in Seattle on Sunday, I thought it would be a great service to our listeners to provide them with out-of-the-way places that they can visit in Seattle in this week's 12-Man Fan Jam Show Travel Guide. Yes, the 12-Man Fan Jam Show Travel Guide is here to help you find those special out-of-the-way places when you travel with our football team. However, this week is a trip home to beautiful, sunny, never rainy Seattle, Washington. So, here we go. When in Seattle, please be sure to visit the Kurt Cobain Shotgun Shack. Oh, boo. Yeah, there went the last listener.
Wow.
Yeah.
Humdinger to start off with.
Yeah, when in Seattle, be sure to visit Jimi Hendrix Drugstore. Is that in Vomitorium, apparently.
Do they take California IDs?
They do. So when in Seattle, be sure to visit the Flying Fish You Catch It, You Eat It seafood restaurant. Because fish are flying everywhere in Seattle. If you watch any time in national TV, they're
I
always
nearly got hit in the head.
fish.
I nearly got hit in the head by a haddock or something last time I was there.
Anytime I go to
I feel
Seattle,
like it
it's like
happens.
I'm playing Mario Brothers. I gotta duck under stuff and then jump over stuff.
You
because
don't
it's,
have to
flying
duck
everywhere.
under stuff.
Hey, when you're in Seattle, be sure to visit the Jeremy Stevens Hope Solo Marriage Clinic.
Ooh.
Yikes.
That one hurt.
Yeah,
And finally,
chapter 1, Battle
I think it
Scars.
probably hurt Jeremy more than Hope, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, ouch. So, and finally, and then I promise this will stop. When in Seattle, be sure to visit the Walter Jones Pancake Shop. So that one, a little bit more upbeat. But anyway, there's some places I'm sure you'll all go run out and visit in Seattle. Now let's go, please, explore the state of the Seahawks. Over 5 games, they're 3-2. They are in first place. First place tie record-wise, but because of head-to-head with the Rams, they are in first place. Dustin, give me something that was positive from these 5 games for the Seahawks.
Something that was positive. Okay.
All right,
Sorry.
Matt.
No. Sorry, I was walking this thing back down, but. No, I'm sorry. I would say the last couple of games have been pretty positive for him. It really seemed like they came together as a team. with the Colts, and earlier in the season, it seemed like it was offense versus defense almost, with kind of the comments in the press and whatnot after the games. And then they really came together in the Colts game, and then they played as a team pretty well in the Rams game. And I think that they're really coming together and like turning a corner right now. And I think that's a pretty positive thing. As far as what they've done previously, that's a positive. The record. That's probably one of the toughest stretches of the season, and they came out with a winning record, so that's hard to dismiss.
Yeah, I mean, a loss at Green Bay for their opener, a loss against Tennessee. A lot of people thought we were a playoff team.
At the time, they were playing well.
Yes, they were. They were. So yeah, no crime in those losses. I agree. Matt, give us a positive.
Well, I mean, I think our fourth down conversion's 3 out of 4. I think that's probably pretty good. I don't like being in fourth down anyway, but there we go. I mean, they turn up to the games on time. I think that's good. Yeah, they got on the right flights. They got off at the right time. They obviously listen to my weather reports because they're prepared for these things.
Yes. We're not suspending random players for like New York is, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And they look good in that uniform that they've had now since 2012. So I think all of those things are good.
All right. Well.
Excuse me.
Oh my goodness.
William Harrison.
Just buzzing himself up for this bit.
No, seriously though, I think I think there's a lot on defense that has been doing very, very well. I've liked Shaquille Griffin's development so far.
Yeah.
Hasn't been able to hit a big play yet, but he's already looked better than a lot of the guys we tried to put over there. And starting out at corner opposite Richard Sherman is no easy task because everybody's going to be throwing at you. And he's more than held his own, and he's going to get some picks before this season's over.
Yeah, Jeremy Lane getting hurt is almost a blessing in disguise because of that. It lets Shaq get the experience that he needs.
Yeah, I really like him too. Statsman Mark, a positive?
Well, beating the Rams is always a positive, especially heading into a bye. And, the defense had 3 shutout quarters. And, I'm wondering whether, I don't know, we're ranked overall defensively, but part of the thing over the last few years is we have to be among the league leaders in a shutout quarters, where, we're always really good about that. And as Will just mentioned, Griffin, coming along, and he's a good example of, what I think is pretty common only on our team, but league wide, is that good players show flashes early. And he's already showing a little something. And this is why at other positions, no matter what they are, if you have prospects and they're taking too long, if you don't see any flashes within the first year or two at any position, generally speaking, it's not a good indicator. And here's Griffin coming in and already making plays opposite Sherman. So this kid could be a keeper, and you can kind of tell early on, that he's making progress.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. I think the biggest positive for me is to see the last couple games. It seems to me like they're finally after years, recognizing that 88 is a matchup issue. In the last couple games, they have thrown at him. I felt like they've thrown at him more in the last 2 games than they have all year. But I feel like they're trying to get him the ball more than usual. I don't know. It just feels to me like they're getting to Jimmy Graham. They're trying to throw the ball to Jimmy Graham more.
They tried a little bit earlier in the season too, as far as red zone goes, but it doesn't feel forced, which is nice. It feels like it's within the natural progression of the game. So
and it feels
that's
like
what's great about it.
Going to start to be kind of, he's got him and he's got Baldwin, and Baldwin's always been a great third down option for him. But it feels like Jimmy and Wilson are on the same page, and they probably always have been. But it just seems like, I don't know, just in the last couple games, they really kind of lean more on Jimmy offensively than they had in the past. And I think it's paid off. I mean, he's catching the things that are thrown. I mean, he's had a couple drops, but he's had a couple of pretty good tight end stat games the last couple games. Okay, now let's go, Dustin. Give me a disappointment from the first 5 games.
I'd say that they don't know what they want to be offensively. They can't seem to figure it out. Do we want to be a team that focuses on the pass because that's what's working, or are we going to try to keep forcing the run that's not working?
Right.
They just they can't make a decision and figure out what kind of team they want to be. I think Russell's averaging 36 passes per game right now, which is more than he ever has, and the running game isn't working. So are they going to continue to do that, or keep trying to force the run?
That's a great point.
Yeah,
that's a great point, because I think they want to be a run first team, but it's just not happening right now.
Yeah, you got to go with what works, and they can't
Exactly.
seem to figure out what they want to do.
Exactly, Matt. What are your positive? One of your disappointments
Well,
or negative?
I think some run defense is concerning me a little bit, because last year we gave up 1,487 yards on the rush, and this year so far we've given up 636. So we're already almost at 50% of what we gave up last year, and we're only 5 games in. So
we're running out of data.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. For me, I've just seen some of the. I mean, I know we've played some good running backs as well. So I mean, you have to look at opponents too. But I do think that our run defense seems a little bit flimsy this year.
Yeah, but if you take out that Tennessee game, and we talked about how the offense didn't give defense a rest, whatever, and there were a lot of big plays, especially in the second half for their offense. You take away that 33 points, 17 points against the Packers in Green Bay. You get 10 points against the Rams, which have been just scoring at will. You get 9 points against the 49ers, which that's not a surprise. But then 16 against the Colts. I mean, this defense, you take that one game away, and they've actually had some pretty good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think part of Matt's I think part of the thing that's going on with the run defense is that the rotation can't be there because they have some injuries, and then they didn't keep 10 defensive linemen like they've been doing the last few years. They have 7 defensive linemen, so the rotation is different. They're expected to be in there more, and they're getting hurt. So that's really going to hurt the run defense. I think that's all a part of it.
True. Will, what's a negative you've seen?
Well, I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, just because there's so much talent and so much money on there. So to whom much is given, much is required. And I'm going to focus on third down defense, because we're having trouble getting off the field on third downs and third and longs too.
Yes.
I mean, as good as that defensive performance against the Rams was, we gave up at least 3 or 4 plays of third and more than 10 yards. The Rams touchdown came on a 3rd and 11.
Yeah.
We had a 3rd and I think 17 negated because of the hands to the face.
Yes.
When we get this defense is too good to let the opposing offense get a touchdown if it's more 3rd and 10 or more. Yeah. And frankly, they shouldn't be getting it most of the time if it's 3rd and 5 or more.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
So
I agree.
they need to tighten things up and get off the field more on 3rd down, and I think that'll help our offense, which has its own problems, obviously, but. If they can get the other team's offense off the field more quickly, that's going to help with field position. It's going to help with time of possession, and all of the above. So yeah, they need to shore things up on 3rd down.
I agree.
It'll help with the rhythm of the offense too, because the more you're out there, the more you're going to be able to find rhythm. So
right.
Yeah. So, Statsman Mark, your thoughts? Negative?
Well, it's 5 games. It's kind of, I think what Dustin touched on. For me, it's just they're still trying to find an identity. And to me, part of the reason they haven't found it is, there's really hasn't been much in the way of rhythm. The overall rhythm. It's just, it's that, it sputters and starts, and the offense is still a work in progress. And, the thing too is I think, a better job could be done in terms of game plans and scheming. I wish I just saw a little bit more imagination. Especially given everything that's going on, and it's a challenge for anyone to do that. But at times I feel like in addition to the issues we have, the defense knows what's coming. I know on the defensive side of the ball, we don't have to mask much because we straight up athletically beat people. But offensively, I think we need to strategize and do more to try and create some advantages where they are, because something has to be done to create momentum, and of course, in a general sense, I'm just whatever blocking system, the ZBS and all this stuff. It just seems too complicated for anyone to really understand it. So anyway, I'd like to see more imagination, offensively.
I would. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to
No,
say,
go
to
ahead.
speak on that ZBS thing, I was watching the sound effects or whatever from last week's game today, and Justin Britt was talking to the rest of the offensive line, and he was coaching them up on who to block in certain situations. He was like, hey, look, we're doing this, and this was a call, but we have to recognize as a group that they're in base. And when they're in base, we have to move one more down to block.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that speaks to what Zorn was talking about there, what Mark was talking about there. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
My negative is the death row, which I know the stats are going to prove me wrong, because I thought, wow, they were, with the exception of the fourth quarter, I don't think Goff ever touched the ground. I mean, he sat back there, had a sandwich, made a phone call, placed a couple online orders, and then he threw the football. I just felt like Goff was getting 10 seconds to throw every time he got it. And this all started for me with Tennessee when I found out that Mariota dropped back 37 times and had 2 pressures out of 37 dropbacks. That's just insane for this front line that's given themselves justifiably this amazing nickname of Death Row. It's been more like Vanilla Ice or Easy E, if you would, because they have not gotten pressure on the quarterback. So then, of course, at the end of the game, they get Goff to, they get to Goff in the fourth quarter, and I look and we have 3 sacks, and I'm like, well, I can't argue with 3 sacks, but it just felt like there was nothing for 3.5 quarters on that front line. That front line has got to get pressure with the 4 of them. That's why they brought Richardson in. That we have all this talent on the front line. I know they're tired and they're not rotating, but man, that death row has not lived up to its name yet. I don't see 4 quarters of terror. I see 3.5 quarters of doing what I want, and then maybe we get to you with the game on the line. But I want to see more out of that front line that's got the clever nickname. So that's my biggest disappointment.
To me, that's a scheme thing, though, because if you watch, they're lined up a lot of times like kind of on the outside shoulder of the tackles, the offensive tackles, right? And when they attack, they're going upfield, the defensive ends upfield. If you go upfield, 8-9 yards, you're not going to be able to get back around to the quarterback. Now the middle guys, they're getting pressure. They're able to push up, but the quarterback can drop back in the pocket because there's nobody coming from those edges. So what they need to do is either figure out, do we want our defensive ends to go upfield, or do we want them to take 2 steps out, have a different angle, and come in more at the quarterback? Because your options are, they go upfield and then you blitz the outside linebackers to come inside, or to take that gap that's there, and then that puts pressure on the quarterback, or you line your defensive ends outside a little bit farther, and then have them change their angle and come in at the outside shoulder of the tackles, and then they can attack that and get towards the quarterback a little bit better.
Well, I don't care how it happens. I just want it to happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that it's schematic. It's not talent. It's nothing else other than
I don't care what it is. It needs to change so that they can get to the damn quarterback before the fourth quarter. Because Jared Goff could have had a sandwich a couple times. That
might speak to the identity thing that they're talking about too, because they're not sure what they want to do or how they want to do it. They got to figure out what they want to do and then make it work.
Well, they need to work on that. But anyway. Listen, one last thing before we go to the fourth quarter. Jose, who's our interview for the fourth quarter, wanted me to ask everyone this question. So real quick, here's Jose's question.
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham's the answer. No, we'll start with Dustin. Dustin, if you could add one position to this team, would you add a running back or an offensive tackle?
No, that's a tough one. We have a ton of running backs, and I think the running backs aren't going to do any good without somebody to block, so I'll go offensive tackle.
You go offensive tackle. Matt?
Running back.
Okay. Will, offensive tackle or running back?
I think we need a running back just because Lacey's not getting it done, and Rawls looks like somebody who's trying not to get himself hurt. But on balance, I've got to go offensive. I've got to go offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Statsman Mark?
I'll go running back because the other one is just going to take a while anyway.
See, here's the thing. I said this to Jose the other night. I said, Jose, Walter Payton would look like a struggling running back behind this line. When we do running plays, it does no good. Our offensive line is acting like it's a pass play, which is, stand the guy up right where you're at. That's not running. You have to push them backwards. So when our guys get the ball and 1 yard ahead, they're faced with guys from the other team, they're not going to get 5 yards. They're going to get 2-3 yards maybe. To me, offensive tackle all the way. It's not even a question. Because someone's like, "Oh, is Lacey a bust? Is Lacey a bust?" Put him behind a decent offensive line and then tell me he's a bust or not. Because if he's getting met at the line of scrimmage by defenders, he's not going to get anywhere. And it seems to be, to me, what our offensive line is doing. It's almost like they're pass protecting on run plays. They're not moving forward.
They haven't really figured out how to use him yet, though. It's got to be, he's more of a second half kind of back for us. They got to use, like, right now, McKissick and Procise, if he had some Vagisil and his ankle vaginitis is taken care of. They got to use him more. And then freaking use the speed guys in the first half, and then when the defense is tired, throw Lacey in there, let him run them over.
Yeah, but again, he's got to give him at least a yard or two before he meets someone from the other team. That's what I'm hoping for.
Give him a burger or two.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the state of the Seahawks, and that is the third quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
Coming up next, a special interview with Jose Rodriguez. You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. It ain't no lie, baby. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Nobody cares.
Holy shit, it's the fourth quarter.
Oh, yes, it's time for the fourth and final quarter of this episode of 12-Man Fan Jam Show. In this quarter, we are going to take a step back, and we're going to play a special interview we have with a loyal 12 and a dear friend of the show, Jose Rodriguez, who got to go to the VMAC for the Colts game and visit with some of the players. And then living in L.A., living fairly close to the Coliseum, he was able to go to the L.A. Rams game as well. And so he asked me if he could talk about his experience with those two games. And so I called him up, and we had a little interview over the old internet's webs, and it sounds a little something like this. Yes, welcome to Interviews with Moses, and with us today we have Jose. Hi, Jose.
Hey!
How are you, sir?
Having me back.
Hey, it's glad to have you.
This podcast is gonna go off the rails of a crazy train Adams. 100 miles per hour. Are you ready?
Well, listen, you had quite an eventful couple weeks, haven't you?
Yes, I was in Seattle for Sunday night game against the Colts, where it was terrible for the first half.
Yeah.
And after halftime, I could barely recognize the team that came out.
That's so true.
Thank you, J.D. McKinney. And Russell Western.
No kidding. But now you got a little special before the game or after the game?
For the game, and the day before the game, I went to the walkthrough. All the players, saw Pete. Great, like always a fantastic coach. And then even more fantastic human being. I'd like to call him a friend, so I will. So just a great friend overall. So lucky to call him a friend. So yeah.
Very cool, very cool. What were some of the players that you got to meet?
So close in John Ryan.
John Ryan, right?
And I told him his wife was hilarious on Twitter. And I even quoted her when she said, I've seen her husband, but not this much. And he said, yes, hopefully you don't tomorrow. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because I'm a lot during the first half, but during the second half, during disability, Thankfully. Otherwise, we probably would have lost that game horribly, and everyone would have thought Donald Trump was president. Oh, wait, that is happening.
So who else did you beat besides John Ryan?
Of course, and I brought up Trump to him, and I said, thankfully, you don't have to deal with him. And he said, yeah, that's right. As soon as the season ends, and I go somewhere better, Canada, and I'm like, that's very true. And we took a picture, and he signed a mini helmet I had. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Now, you went to the VMAC? Did you go to the practice facility? Like, did you go into where they practice and everything? Or?
Yeah.
Very cool.
I asked Peter for more just weeks with Tyler Lockett, and he told me, I know, we're gonna get that done. I'm like, okay, good, because we have no running game right now.
It's very true. Sad but true.
I'm very honest with you.
Yes, you are.
I appreciate that. Thankfully. And thankfully, hey, hasn't had me out yet, but if he hears this, I don't know about that.
I know he listens all the time, so I'm sure he's listening right now.
Yeah, right.
What do you say? No, I'm kidding. So you went to the Colts game.
Because we are highly sophisticated.
Our three listeners. One of them, which is you. So there's that.
Exactly. What am I doing with my life?
That could actually be the motto of our first Facebook page. 12 Man Fan Jam Show. What are we doing with our lives? Which part you're a big part of, by the way. And also, you went to the Rams game then. Now, did you meet the players at the Rams game as well, or is it a different situation?
No. That was I only go to the VMAC home games. And there was a tailgate held by the Sherman. That's birthday, but I could not find it anywhere.
No. So you had fun, but you had fun at the LA game.
Because we won, of course.
Of course.
I hugged random friends who I didn't know after the game because the game was full of 12, thankfully. And empty, as always, in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
It's always empty. LA is not a football town. Something the Chargers are finding out a lot right now.
Yeah.
They should have known before they... They're 3 idiots. And now I don't have a filter. Sorry, folks. They are idiots. The end. Mike Prescott was right. Because Mike Prescott said that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I spend way too much time listening.
So, but they might give you a hard time wearing Seahawks stuff at the stadium or anything?
No, because most of the stuff there was Seahawks fans. As you could hear on the TV.
Yeah.
You could hear Seahawks. You hear the chant on the TV and it.
So, Jose, in your opinion, I mean, I know there are 2 franchises in LA, but do you think the Rams have a chance to survive there?
Well, with the new offense, maybe, but I doubt it because they can't even sell out the Coliseum, so I don't know how they're going to feed him without giving tickets away.
Yeah.
If they don't start winning.
Right. Well, I hope the Rams stay there long enough for you to go to the games and continue to bring us good luck, because I think you have a pretty
Maybe
good
they're
record.
doing. Maybe it's the family is doing the same thing the Miami Dolphins coaching staff does.
Well, maybe it's a Jose factor.
Or maybe it's that. And I doubt it.
Well, keep going to games for us and because when you go, they win. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna put together we'll put together some money for you to go to the next game. No, I'm kidding. I can't afford that, but I'd love to, but I don't think I can afford that.
I want $5.
You can get for our $5.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
But thank you.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for sharing your experiences the last couple games, Jose. We appreciate it.
Anytime,
all right, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Of course. God let them go.
Go Hawks, as always.
All
right, man.
All right.
All right, we'd like to thank Jose for that interview. We appreciate you taking the time, my friend, to listen and to talk to us about your experiences with the Seahawks. We also like to point out if anybody else would like to talk about a special experience maybe they have with the Seahawks, we'd be willing to take an interview anytime for the show and use it on our show a little bit. And we're open to anybody who has something maybe special they want to share with the rest of the 12s out there. So in the meantime, it does look like it's time to bring another wonderful and amazing 12-man Fan Jam show to a sad close. We are so glad you decided to waste some time with us. We certainly hope you laughed a little and maybe you learned a little something. We learned so much in this episode 514. Never take trivia on drugs was something we learned.
That's true.
We learned that Mark is breast cancer free. We're very thankful.
Yep.
Dustin needs to pay attention.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from.
What was that?
I don't know. And never trust the posse during trivia. That's something I think Dustin also learned.
Especially me.
Yeah, Matt wants me to send me his pee. I don't know.
Hey, I'm off my tits. Do you know what I mean?
and finally, Matt is always he's off his tits. So, on behalf of my partner in crime, Matt, who's off his tits, our new sound Shadowhawk Will, Statsman Mark, who's here, Dustin as the Beaver, Roger Goodell, Mosette, Little Mo, Buddy Hackett, Sheila McRae, Art Carney. Good night, everybody. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Bye, baby.
I need some more drugs.